Whoa, that is a tiny camera. This is the $850 Fujifilm X half. I'm Becca, I take tech outside, and as a lover of point-and-shoot film cameras, I was pretty skeptical of this digital knockoff, but it's provided a surprisingly great experience despite its gimmicks. Let's get into it. The X half is 240 grams, or 0.5 pounds, which means it is pocketable, depending on your pocket size. It's got a fixed lens that's around a 32mm full-frame equivalent, and it natively shoots this way, like your phone, instead of this way, like your traditional camera, because of its 18-megapixel 1-inch vertical CMOS sensor, meaning that its 2.4-inch postage stamp, not-so-responsive touchscreen and optical viewfinder are vertically oriented as well. This actually took me some time to get used to. There's been many times that I've turned the camera this way naturally to take a vertical photo, only to realize that with this camera, you don't need to do that. The X half comes in these three colors, and in the hand, although it looks very much like a toy, and it is incredibly small, it actually feels pretty sturdy. Except for this. This is a faux film advance lever, and it has absolutely no resistance, like a real advance lever might. And I think it's the worst part of this camera. For starters, when the camera's off, this switch can be clicked in and out freely, but as soon as the camera's on, it is locked in the out position. You can't click it back in. And if you're not in the film simulation mode, all this lever does is turn on the diptychs mode, which is where you can take two photos and put them side by side in a 3.2 aspect ratio. Use the lever to switch which side of the photo you're taking for. I find myself rarely using that feature, so it's kind of lost on me. Then when you're in the film simulation mode, it advances the film. But even then, it's a horrible tactile experience, which is ironic because that film simulation mode is the best part of this camera. So I just got back from a trip to Chicago, where I would have typically brought a camera like this. It's a $15 point-and-shoot 35mm camera, but instead I brought the X half, and I was quite surprised at how well this camera filled this camera's shoes, especially in what I thought was going to be a very gimmicky film simulation mode. It works like this. First, you select your film type or one of the 13 film emulation modes on this tiny vertical touchscreen. Then you select how many images you want on your roll. If you want the date stamp, what exposure mode you want to be in, and then once you hit this button, the back screen turns into this, for as many shots as you selected, even if you turn the camera off. Meaning that, like a film camera, the only way to frame your shot is through the optical viewfinder. And the only way to take another photo is to push the film advance lever. And you can't see any of your photos that you've shot until the whole digital roll has been used. Once you've done that though, you open the X half app and develop it. During this process, you're met with some very corny, but I think they're kind of cool graphics that simulate film being developed onto a contact sheet. I enjoyed this mode way more than I thought. It really captures the serendipity of shooting film. Like, you can't look at your shot, so you can't be perfect about things. You just have to take it and keep going. And then when you get your film quote unquote back, you have this moment of reflection where you're sort of seeing this memory again and being able to reminisce about it. It's really great, but there's a couple of hardware issues and a bit of slowness that really sucks the joy out of this process when it's done digitally. More on that in a moment. First, a message from this video sponsor, Eufy. I live in a very old apartment. It's one of those apartments where no matter how hard you try, the dust will always win. Which is why I'm so excited about this. This is the Eufy Omni E25. It's a combo mop and vacuum robot that whips around our apartment, cleaning our floors so that dust, it does not win. Just laying on my floor watching this vacuum go to town. Whew, look at him go. It has two arms that can reach into corners or along baseboards and pull dust and debris in. It then sucks up those crumbs with 20,000 pascals of power, which is a hell of a lot of suction power. Then there's this mop that both cleans itself and your floors at the same time, so it's not just wiping dirty water around. It can recognize and avoid obstacles, detect carpets, and lift its mop for vacuum-only cleaning. And it has a great app for setting up routines, seeing cleaning logs, or setting no-go zones. Now, if you're jealous of all the fun that we're having, the good news is that you could win one of these. You see, my partner Hannah and I have been arguing over what we should name our new vacuum friend, and we think you could help. So drop what you would think would be the best robot vacuum name down in the comments, and my partner Hannah, she's gonna pick the winner. She loves puns. You have 1 week to enter. If Hannah likes your name, I will tag you and comment on your post, so make sure you have notifications turned on so that we can get in touch. But if you know you need this now, use the link in my bio to get an Omni E25 for yourself, so you never have to think about vacuuming again. Thank you, Eufy, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the show. It's time to talk problems with the X-Half.
What the heck?
First up, that film advancement lever. You see, the X-Half is slow and it takes time to process images. So the idea that you can just flick this film advancement lever and then be able to take another shot just simply isn't true. Sometimes things process quickly and it works with a quick flip, but most of the time, you're sitting there flicking and flicking and flicking, and the processing light is flashing, and frustration ensues until it finally finishes processing and the film, quote unquote, advances. Fujifilm really should have put a faster processor in this camera, one that can keep up with the speed of the flick. Or they could have used something like a turning wheel that you have to wind, 3 or 4 times in order to take the next shot. Something that is more at the speed of the processor. Then there are the visual cues. To the left of the viewfinder is a single LED light. It flashes green while it hunts for focus, goes solid green when it's ready to shoot, and flashes red if it's still processing or you haven't wound your film. And this may be a me problem, but when my eye is up to the viewfinder, especially in daylight, I really can't see this LED. It's hidden just enough by the lip of the viewfinder. And I think putting this LED either inside the viewfinder or keeping it where it is and adding a center square that lights up in the viewfinder would help me understand what the camera is doing a whole hell of a lot better. Not to mention, it would just be nice to have some sort of grid lines in this viewfinder. And then there's the boot up time. Camera takes a minute to start up, and there have been many times I have missed a shot simply because the camera wasn't ready. A lot of folks think of film as slow, but the only thing I gotta wait for is the flash warm up, which is pretty damn quick on this camera. I know I'm being a bit nitpicky, but it is an $850 camera. That is no small amount of change. And when you have so little control over a device that you paid that much money for, well, it can be really anxiety-inducing when you don't know what's going on or why it isn't taking a photo. Now, I do have to give Fujifilm credit. This is the only digital camera that I know that allows you to both use it as simply a digital camera or lock it down into this entirely different mode that makes it feel like something different. And this is only the first generation. Hopefully Fuji will keep making these and they'll get better. Okay, but speaking about this camera as just a digital camera and not some 35mm point and shoot knockoff, how does it perform? Let's get video out of the way. This is not a video camera, it's more of a crappy camcorder. Footage is shaky because there's a lack of stabilization, the audio is horrendous.
Number one rule of travel, never take the same street twice. Never, you can't. You always gotta take a different street, even if it means going a bit out of your way.
The focus unreliable, and it only shoots up to 1440p 2398. It's a look, that's for sure. Luckily, the photo side of things is a lot better. It has decent focus fall off, and the lens is sharp enough in good light. Once you get into lower light, a small sensor starts to show its size, and things can get a bit grainy and slow, but I guess that's when the flash comes in handy. And of course, you get access to 13 Fujifilm color recipes. And I think for the best, this camera doesn't shoot raw images, only JPEGs. For a professional, all of these things would be infuriating, but I think for most folks, they're just going to be transferring these images to their phone, and therefore don't need the highest quality. I'll get nitpicky about 2 things though. The autofocus is quite slow, and the metering is incredibly unpredictable. Sometimes it goes bright, sometimes it goes dark, and when you're in that film mode, you have no idea what it will decide. Of course, for more control, you can pop it into manual mode. Last week, I asked my IG buds if they had any questions about this camera, so I'm gonna wrap this video up with a rapid-fire Q&A. First question, do you think that this camera added inspiration to the way you took photos? I already shoot on a point-and-shoot 35mm camera a lot, as you've heard throughout this video, so it felt similar to that, as in I felt free using it. I didn't feel like I had to get the perfect shot, because quite frankly, you probably won't, but instead I was just capturing moments, which always feels good. Saw this elsewhere, but literally should have just been an app. It could be an app, but I'm someone who likes the physical feel of a camera. I don't like taking photos on my phone all the time because then I get sucked into phone land. So for me, I'm happy to have something physical that feels nice. How accurate is the rangefinder? Pretty accurate, actually, surprisingly accurate. I do just wish there was some sort of like middle dot or grid lines in the viewfinder just for framing purposes. Gimmick or fun? It's a fun gimmick, I'll put it that way. X-Half or Pentax 17? I don't know, film or digital? That's for you to decide. Favorite photo taken so far? This is funny, I don't feel like I took any great photos with this camera, and it's, similar to using my point-and-shoot film camera. There are a couple of photos I love, like this, and this, and this. But I think this is one of those cameras where you take like thousands of photos and then you get like a few good ones, or you just look back on your photos and it's more about the feeling those photos provide or the memory that those photos preserve rather than how they objectively look to a stranger. Is it worth it or save for the X100VI? It is such a different camera than the X100VI. The X100VI has a bigger sensor, shoot raw, you have more room to play with them in post. Whereas this, if you are just taking photos to post on social media, then this is your camera. Otherwise, you might want something more robust. But if you're looking at the X100VI, well, I mean, for that price, there's a lot of other cameras you can get to. All right, that wraps it up. If you like this video, subscribing means the world. Let me know what you think of the X100 down below. I will miss it. I actually will miss it. And I was thinking this would be a really good camera to rent because the rental would be like really cheap. I don't know. I can't imagine it's more than like 150 bucks for 7 days. So it might be fun to just try out. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. All right. Appreciate you, bud. I'll see you in the next one.